Hi everyone, welcome to StuyEats. I'm Alec. So today I'm going to be making an upside down apple cake. Ella made one with pineapples a little while ago, so this is going to be a little variation on that, and then Nick is also going to be making one with a different fruit. So first I have 2 already washed apples that I am going to cut up, and I'm just going to fast forward me doing that. So before I can put the apples into my 9-inch diameter pan, what I'm going to do is make a sauce of coconut oil and sugar, just to put on the bottom as like a glaze for when we flip it over. Generally people would use butter for this, but we don't really have butter at home, so what I'm going to do is just replace that with coconut oil. But what I'm going to need to make the sauce is I'm going to need 1 cup of regular sugar, granulated sugar, and then a couple tablespoons of the coconut oil. So I'm going to show you guys how I combine that in the pan. So something that I'm going to do while this is heating up is I'm just going to take some ham spray, just regular cooking spray, coat the pan so that it's greased, so that it comes off a lot more easily when we need to take the cake out of the pan when we're flipping it over. And then just a nice trick that I like to use is just taking any piece of paper towel and moving the cooking spray around just so that it covers the sides if it might have missed anything. I'm gonna do that. So I think the coconut oil is just about melted. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add our sugar, which is 1 cup of sugar, and I believe there was 2 tablespoons of coconut oil that I used in making the sauce. I'm just doing this on a medium heat so it doesn't get too burnt. Because we might want to do it quickly, but it might burn, which is not going to be a fun time in the end of it all. So I'm just going to speed this up while the sugar melts, because this might take a little while and we need it to be fully melted before we can add it so it's not too grainy on the apples. Nice little brown color, and what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to pour it into my greased pan. This in. It's going to be nice and caramelly. Then I'm going to go in with a spatula and get all the remaining sauce out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start placing my apple rings into the pan. Just filling it up however possible. I have some pretty big slices, so I'm just gonna keep layering it on top. till it is So it is now packed into my pan. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get started on the batter. And fortunately enough, I do have a stand mixer, so that's going to make my life a lot easier. If not, if you don't have one at home, that's completely okay. It's really not a necessity. It just makes things faster, especially considering that my family does cook a lot at home. So I have my 1 cup of 1 1/2 cups of sugar that I have in here. This may look like 1 cup. It's actually 1 1/2. And then I have this melted coconut. I have this melted coconut oil that I'm going to add into here. Perfect. So now I'm going to set this into the stand mixer, and I'm going to just cream it together until it's one incorporated mass. Just get that going. So, while I do that, I'm going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about 180 in Celsius. What I really like about using a stand mixer is that while you're doing that, while that's going, you can do something else off to the side. So I've finished creaming together the sugar and the coconut oil. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to whisk in the eggs, the vanilla, and the milk. So for this recipe, we need 3 eggs. We need, I see, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Generally, just like a little tip, the cap of the vanilla extract bottle would hold 1 teaspoon, so you don't need to use like a teaspoon or like measure out a teaspoon. It comes in handy just as well, works just as well, I mean. And then it's 1/2 cup of milk. Milk, and then measure out 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Just gonna make the recipe so good. Perfect. So we're gonna whisk that together until it's combined, and you'll definitely be able to know because it's gonna look like one uniform mix. So now all of that is one uniform mass, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the dry ingredients, so the baking powder, the salt, and the flour. So for this recipe, we're going to need 1 1/2 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm just going to add that right in. Make sure there's nothing left inside. Then for salt, I'm just using Himalayan pink sea salt because I feel like that's a lot more forgiving in terms of if you add too much or too little, the flavor comes across really well. So it's just a little bit, just 2 to 3 pinches of salt. And it is going to be 1 teaspoon of baking powder. So let me get just measuring spoons. 1/2 teaspoon. 1 teaspoon. I'm gonna measure out 1 teaspoon. Measured out 1 teaspoon of baking powder. Add that right in. And we're going to mix it all together until it is thoroughly combined. I'm gonna clean as I go, just so that I don't have to do as much work afterwards, and because I have the time, I might as well. So the thing with the stand mixer is that every now and then you'll actually have to scrape down the sides just because the whisk attachment doesn't get to the sides of the ball. So I'm just gonna stop it for a second, scrape down the sides and let it keep doing its thing. It looks about done. Something that I generally like to add to batter is a little bit of lemon juice, because that just gives it a nice extra little flavor. We're just gonna do that. Just like a little sour to counteract how sweet it is. Not too much, just a little bit. Just gonna mix that right in. Incorporate that into the batter. So a little problem with coconut oil is that it can sometimes get a little bit too liquidy and can make the batter too runny, but just to counteract that, I added a little bit of flour just to make it a little more stiff so it's not too runny and so that it bakes through more easily. And I'm just gonna wait until that's fully combined, fully incorporated. And our batter is done. All we really have to do now is we're gonna pour the batter into our pan over the apples that we put in there a little bit ago before we started making the batter. Bring that right over here. So using a rubber spatula or a wooden spatula, whichever, helps you make sure that everything that was in your bowl gets into the pan so that you're not wasting anything. So I'm just gonna pour this right over. Very satisfying, very smooth, silky batter. And generally, with most apple recipes, you would also add cinnamon into the batter, but some people in my family don't really enjoy cinnamon. I do, I'm a big fan of it, but you know, for the sake of pleasing the family, I'm gonna keep the cinnamon to a minimum. And this is one of those recipes that isn't really hurt by the exclusion of cinnamon. Just gonna get the last of this batter out. Making sure that none of it goes to waste. Just smoothing off the top. And now I am going to put this into the preheated oven. That was preheated at 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 Celsius, however you have it on your oven. Oh, also I forgot to mention, we put it into the oven for 45 to 55 minutes. I set a timer for 50 minutes so that it's not underbaked, and then worst case scenario, I just add it in for another 5 minutes so that it's not underbaked or raw in the middle. Okay, I'll see you guys in 50 minutes. Okay, so I just took it out of the oven after approximately 50 minutes. Then I let it sit for a little while, I'd say 30 to 40 minutes. And now it's time to flip it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a butter knife and go around the edges just to make sure that it's like loose on the sides. I'm really hoping this works. Hoping this flips well. Went in with a sharp, thin knife just to make sure that it's fully cooked through into the middle. If it comes out clean, most people probably know, it means that it's fully cooked. If not, that means that you have to do it for a little bit longer. So I'm just gonna take my plate. I have it right here. I'm gonna take my plate, put it on top. I have a towel that I'm going to use to flip it over. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so let's see how it turns out. Have it coming up. Perfect. So it got a little bit caught, so I might have needed to use a little bit more butter. However, for the most part, the cake looks incredible. Would you look at that? Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed the video. It was helpful to you. Maybe I'll see you guys in another StuyEats video, maybe not. Regardless, I had so much fun. Thank you. Bye.